One night a guy goes to get a room in a hotel. "Hello, I want a single room for the night, please." "Fine, sir, here's one of our best rooms." "Room 13, says the concierge and hands him the key. The guy goes upstairs, takes a shower and gets straight into bed. At about 2:00 in the morning, two gorgeous naked women come in and slide under the covers. When he realizes what is going on, he starts screwing both of them. He can't believe what's happening. Next morning, still surprised by last night's events, he goes downstairs to settle the bill. "How was your room, sir?" asks the receptionist. "Excellent, I will come back again." "What do I owe you?" asks the man. "Well, actually, sir, we are doing a promotional offer. Not only do you not have to pay, but we give you $10 as a welcome gesture," says the receptionist. "What?" says the guy, very surprised indeed. "That's amazing." He takes the $10 bill and wanders off, debating whether his buddies will believe him or not. Needless to say, after a few days he's told all his friends and neighbors about room 13 and the amazing night of passion. The next week one of his buddies goes to check out the room. "Room 13, please." "Certainly, sir, here's your key." After he gets in bed, at the same time, 2:00, three girls this time, extremely horny, get in bed and screw his brains out. The next morning, not only does he not have to pay, but he too gets $10. After a month, everyone knows this hotel and especially room 13. Everyone that stays in room 13 gets the same treatment, a good screw and a $10. After a few weeks, the story reaches the president. The president decides to check the story out for himself. He visits the hotel and asks for room 13. He gets the keys and goes upstairs. After a couple of drinks, he gets in bed waiting patiently for the naked girls to appear. Indeed, at about 2:00 in the morning, two naked ladies come to bed. They are as horny and wild as all the stories the president has heard. The president gets his pecker out and screws the both of them all night long. This is the night of his life. Next morning he goes to reception, and when he asks how much the bill is, the receptionist says, "Nothing to pay, sir. Actually, we are doing an introductory offer. Here's $50 as a welcome gesture." Curious, the president asks the receptionist, "Well, that's strange. Everyone else who comes here gets $10. Why do I get $50? "Well, sir," says the receptionist, "this is the first time we filmed a porn movie with a president in it."
"400 passengers, but only 200 meals were loaded onto a flight from Delhi to New York City. It was only discovered after takeoff, when the flight attendants started going through their preparations for the meals. So, the airline had bungled, and the crew was in a fix. However, one smart flight attendant had an idea. A couple of hours into the flight, she nervously announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, we don't know how this happened, but we have over 400 people on board, but only 200 dinners. Anyone who is kind enough to give up their meal to someone else will receive unlimited free liquor for the duration of the flight." Her next announcement came 6 hours later. "Ladies and gentlemen, if anyone wants to change their mind, we still have 180 dinners available." Moral of the story: people who like to drink have very kind hearts.
A horse, a sheep, and a chicken lived together on a farm. The horse had long dreamed of learning to play the guitar. So the horse rings a music shop and he says, "Hey, I'd love to learn to play guitar. Is there anyone who can teach me?" The music shop manager says, "That's not an issue. Let's get you started on some music lessons." The horse says, "Well, there's one problem, sir. I'm actually a horse." The music store manager says, "Hey, that's not a problem. I'm sure I can manage to teach you." The horse says, "Awesome," so he goes into his lessons, and in no time he's rocking the whole farm with his guitar. One day the sheep comes wandering over. Sheep watches horse play for a bit and then says that he'd really like to learn to play drums, and can horse recommend anyone who can teach him? Horse gives sheep the number of the music shop, and sheep dials the number. The music store manager says, "Hey, no problem, I'll teach you to play drums. How about we set up some lessons?" The sheep says, "Is it going to be a problem if I'm a sheep?" The manager says, "Not a problem. In fact, a while ago I taught a horse to play guitar, so it shouldn't be too hard to teach a sheep to play drums." So the sheep goes for his music lessons, and soon enough, he's mastered them, and he and horse start jamming together in the stables. One morning, sheep and horse are rocking the hose down when Chicken struts past. Chicken is very impressed and tells horse and sheep that he's always wanted to learn to sing, and could horse or sheep recommend anyone? They both tell him about the music shop, and the chicken decides to call the music shop. So he gives the shop a call and tells the manager that he's always longed to learn to sing, and could anyone help him? The shop manager says it's no problem, and when is he free to come in for lessons? Chicken says, "There's just one small issue." The shop manager asks, "What's that?" The chicken says, "Well, I'm a chicken." The manager says, "That's no problem. I've taught a horse to play guitar and a sheep to play drums, so I'm sure I can teach a chicken to sing." So Chicken takes his lessons, and in no time at all he's the best singer you ever heard. He and sheep and horse decide to form a band and start playing together, and even writing songs. One day they're smashing it out in the stables when they decided to record a video of one of their songs and upload it to YouTube. The song ends up going viral. It's so popular they release more videos, and soon they have a massive fan base. They all decide it's time to embark on a world tour. At the airport, as the plane is about to board, Horse says, "Guys, I need to use the bathroom. I'll catch up with you two before the flight leaves." Both the chicken and sheep board the plane, but Horse takes too long in the bathroom and misses the flight. As Horse is waiting for a new flight, he's watching TV, and a news story tells him that the plane sheep and chicken were on crashed, and both chicken and sheep tragically died. Horse was very upset about losing his two closest friends and decides to go into the bar across the road and get a drink to drown his sorrows. He walks in and orders, and as he's sitting at the bar drinking, the barman looks at Horse and says, "Why the long face?"
Yoda and Luke are walking through the swamp. Part of their usual training course involves shimmying along a cliff ledge, but today there's a long break in the ledge they can't cross. "Something for this I have," Yoda says. He reaches into his bag and takes out a bunch of regular dinner table forks and a roll of duct tape. He tapes several forks together to make a bridge and lays it down, allowing the two of them to get across. When they get back to Yoda's hovel, they find that some creature has chewed a hole in the fence around Yoda's garden. "Something I have for this," Yoda says again. Once again, he takes a bunch of forks out of his bag and, using duct tape, tapes them in to patch the hole. Yoda and Luke return to Yoda's home, where Yoda looks through his bag. He's used all his forks but one, he discovers. "That's okay, Master," Luke says, wanting to be helpful. "I'll write us a note reminding us to buy more." So he writes the note and uses the very last fork to pin it to the bulletin board. He looks down at Yoda expecting pride, but instead finds a look of horror. "Master Yoda," he asks, "what did I do wrong?" Yoda replies sagely, "A Jedi uses the forks for knowledge and the fence, never for attack."
A man is in a long line at the grocery store. As he got to the register, he realized he had forgotten to get condoms. So he asked the checkout girl if she could have some condoms brought up to the register. She asked, "What size condoms?" The customer replied that he didn't know. She asked him to drop his pants. He did. She reached over the counter, grabbed hold of him, then picked up the store intercom and said 1 box of large condoms to register 10. The next man in line thought this was interesting and, like most of us, up for a cheap thrill. When he got to the register, he told the checker that he too had forgotten to get condoms and asked if she could have some brought up to the register. She asked him what size, and he stated that he didn't know. She asked him to drop his pants. He did. She gave him a quick feel, picked up the store intercom and said, 1 box of medium-sized condoms to register 10. A few customers back was this teenaged boy. He thought what he had witnessed was way too cool. He had never had any type of sexual contact with a live female, so he thought this was his chance. When he got up to the register, he told the checker he needed some condoms. She asked him what size, and he said he didn't know. She asked him to drop his pants, and he did. She reached over the counter, gave him 1 quick squeeze, then picked up the intercom and said, "Clean up at register 10.
Three guys from Michigan die and go to hell. Satan, being the kind of guy who takes his job very seriously, always checks on new arrivals personally to make sure that they are uncomfortable and their eternal torment is going smoothly and so on. So he arrives at their cell and listens in for a few minutes. He hears the guys talking. "Man, hell really isn't as bad as I expected." "I know, right? Sure, it's hot and all, but it's dry heat. Yeah, no humidity whatsoever. This has nothing on a Michigan summer." Satan hears this and smirks. "Not so bad, huh? Okay then." He grabs the thermostat for their cell and cranks it all the way up, from hot to incinerate. "There. Let's see how you boys like that." And he leaves them there. The next day, Satan stops by the cell again. To his shock, the guys from Michigan are having a great time. "This is fantastic. The fire killed all the mosquitoes. I haven't been bit since we got here. This is great." Now, Satan is a bit annoyed that they aren't suffering, but he can fix this. "Okay, so if hot won't cut it, let's see how you like cold." He turns their thermostat all the way down to 50 below zero. That'll fix them for sure. That night, Satan gets a very nervous call from one of his minions at 2 in the morning. Sir. It's the guys from Michigan, sir. They're, partying, sir." Satan goes tearing back to the office. He charges down to the Michigan guy's cell, practically tearing his hair out with frustration and rage. "What is the matter with you people? You are in hell. What does it take to make you suffer?" One of the Michigan guys answers him, "Satan, you don't get it. Hell froze over. There's only one explanation. The Lions won the Super Bowl."
A burglar breaks into a home and holds the husband and wife in it hostage. At gunpoint, he forces the two to sit on chairs facing the opposite way, back to each other, and ties them to the chairs. The burglar slowly and methodically begins stealing from the house. When the burglar has taken everything of value, he gets ready to leave, the homeowners still bound to their chairs, when suddenly, the man yells at the burglar, "Please untie her! Please, let her go!" The thief responds with, "No, I'm not untying either of you so that the authorities get notified as late as possible. Don't worry, your neighbors will soon wonder why your lights are still on throughout the night and check in on you long before you succumb to dehydration." The man yet again pleads, "Please, just untie her, I'll do anything." The burglar once again explains his reasoning, "I need to get away with this crime. I'm sorry, I can't leave anything up to chance." The man shuffles his chair towards the burglar in a state of mania, exclaims, "I'm begging you, man, just let her go. She won't call the cops, I promise." The burglar, still unwilling to budge, did find it quite touching how much his hostage cared about his wife. "Wow," he said, "you must really love your wife to beg me to untie her so desperately." "No," the man replied, in a state of frenzy, "my wife will be home in 15 minutes.
A priest goes to the barber for a haircut. When it's done, he asks the barber how much he owes. "All free, friend. I consider it a service to God." The next morning when the barber goes to work, he sees a bunch of flowers and a Bible in the doorstep. The flowers come with a thank you card from the priest. Presently, a policeman enters, wanting a trim. When the barber is finished, the policeman asks how much he owes. "No charge, friend. I consider this a service to the Lord above." The next day when the barber turns up to work, there's a box of donuts and a thank you card on the doorstep. In the afternoon, a senator comes in for a haircut. When the barber is finished, he tells the surprised but pleased senator that there is no charge, as he considers it a service to God. When the barber goes to work the next day, there's a line of senators waiting in a long line for haircuts.
God created the dog and said, "Sit all day by the door of your house and bark at anyone who comes in or walks past. For this, I will give you a lifespan of 20 years. The dog said, "That's a long time to be barking. How about only 10 years and I'll give you back the other 10? So God agreed. God created the monkey and said, "Entertain people, do tricks, and make them laugh. For this, I'll give you a 20-year lifespan." The monkey said, "Tricks for 20 years? That's a pretty long time to perform. How about I give you back 10 like the dog did?" And God agreed. God created the cow and said, "You must go into the field with the farmer all day long and suffer under the sun, have calves and give milk to support the farmer's family. For this, I will give you a lifespan of 60 years. The cow said, That's kind of a tough life you want me to live for 60 years. How about 20 and I'll give back the other 40? And God agreed again. God created man and said, eat, sleep, play, marry, and enjoy your life. For this, I'll give you 20 years. But man said, only 20 years? Could you possibly give me my 20, the 40 the cow gave back, the 10 the monkey gave back, and the 10 the dog gave back? That makes 80, okay? Okay, said God, you asked for it. So that is why for our first 20 years we eat, sleep, play, and enjoy ourselves. For the next 40 years we slave in the sun to support our family. For the next 10 years we do monkey tricks to entertain the grandchildren. And for the last 10 years we sit on the front porch and bark at everyone. Life has now been explained to you.
A man goes to meet his fiancée's family. At the house is the fiancée, her parents, and her super attractive younger sister. After dinner, the fiancée goes to her room to unpack. The mother is in the kitchen doing dishes, and the father is in his man cave, leaving the man and his girlfriend's sister alone in the living room. After a few minutes of uncomfortable silence, the sister says to the man, I know you want me. I'm so much hotter and cuter than my sister. I'll let you take me into the closet for 7 minutes in heaven. No one will have to know. The man quickly gets up from his seat and sprints towards the front door. On the other side of the door is the fiancé, the mother, and the father, all with big smiles on their faces. The father says, My boy, this was a secret test to prove you would be a faithful husband to my daughter. You had a chance to sneak some time with my younger daughter, and you chose to walk out rather than cheat on your fiancé. I would be proud to call you my son-in-law. Moral of the story, always keep the condoms in your glove compartment.
An American and a Russian die and go to hell. They are met at the gates by Satan, who offers them a choice. They can either go to American hell or Russian hell. Both new arrivals are curious as to what the difference is, so Satan explains that in American hell you are free to do whatever you want. You'll find that we have all the finest amenities here in hell. Whatever your heart desires, you can find it here. However, you have to eat a shovel full of shit each morning, but then you're free to do whatever you'd like. Russian hell is basically the same, but you have to eat 2 shovels full of shit before you start your day. The American is quick to choose American hell, but is flabbergasted when the Russian chooses to go to Russian hell. Several eons later, the American bumps into the Russian and says, My Russian friend, hell wasn't what I thought at all. Every day I play a round of golf on a championship golf course. I hang out with my friends at an amazing social club until late in the afternoon. The brothel I go to has the most beautiful women I've ever seen. Every night I have an incredible steak dinner at a Michelin star restaurant. I honestly don't mind eating the shovel full of shit in the morning anymore. One thing has bothered me all this time though. Why did you choose to go to Russian hell? Was it a mistake? The Russian replies, It was you who make the mistake, comrade. In Russian hell, half the time there is no shovel, and the other half the time there is no shit.
A woman got married not long after high school, and her husband broke her heart when he ran off with another woman. She eventually got back into the dating scene and fell in love again with another man. They married, but he turned out to be an asshole who hit her when he was angry. She divorced him as well. Over time, she met a third man who seemed perfect for her in every way, but he was terrible in bed. She married him anyway, reasoning that sex would improve the more they knew each other, but it didn't, and after a year she finally divorced him. Having now been divorced 3 times, she decided to join an online dating service and was very blunt about her preferences. She flat out asked for a man who would never hit her, never run off with another woman, and be good in bed. About 3 weeks later, her doorbell rang, and when she answered it, there was a man in a wheelchair who had no legs and no arms. He said, "Hello, I think I'm your perfect man." She said, "Really? How so?" Said the man, "Well, I have no arms, so I will never beat you, and I have no legs, so I will never run off with another woman." She stared at him and asked, "Are you good in bed?" And he answered, "I rang the doorbell, didn't I?"